Hi and welcome everyone. It's Kathleen here, and I hope I'm live. I hope everything's working well. Okay, so it's Kathleen here, and behind the Pinkfresh studio name, I just saw it's Kinnery. I thought it was going to be Jody because we did have to switch things up a little bit. Unfortunately, Jody is not feeling well, so she couldn't join me today, which is a shame because we were both really looking forward to finally doing a sneak peek live together. It never worked out, so we were really happy that this month we could do it, but unfortunately Jody's not feeling well, so send her all your healing wishes her way, sorry. So you might have seen that today is a sneak peek live, so I hope that even though Jody is not joining me, you will still have lots of fun today with me and with, getting a closer look at our our upcoming release, Artful Foundations. It will be live and available on Thursday, so 2 days from now at 9 a.m. CT. And if you follow us on social media, on Instagram or Facebook, you will have already seen some sneak peeks, some beautiful card projects with the new release. And if you haven't, then make sure that you follow us there to, see all of those new upcoming goodies. Before I get started, before I give you a closer look, I also wanted to mention our current weekly promo because it ends soon in 2 days. So Thursday at midnight CT, it will end. And it's a really good one because when purchasing the Never Give Up stamp or press plate, you can get the coordinating die and stencil for free. So that's a $35 value for spending the money on just the stamp or the press plate. Or of course you can get both. You just have to add the freebie from the pop-up, which appears as soon as you put in the stamp or the press plate into your cart, and then you get that for free. So as I mentioned, so Jody's not joining me. I really had to kind of put my foot down and tell her, no, you're not going to go live with me today because she does need a little bit of rest. And well, she didn't have another choice because I just told her I wouldn't let her join the stream if she doesn't listen. Okay, so it's just me today, but I hope I can still, share lots of different ideas with you. So, one really important thing I almost forgot to mention. As always, with our sneak peek lives, we are not only giving, usually we give away 2 $50 gift cards during the live and on replay. But in our sneak peek lives, we actually give away the full release to one lucky viewer. So all you have to do is, it's the same as always, all you have to do is just be active in the chat. Every time you write something is another entry. So let us know if you already follow us, let us know where you're joining from, or if you have any questions. Of course, we always love it when you give us a thumbs up. Let us know when you did that or when you shared the video. And then at the end of this session, Kinnery is going to randomly pick a winner who is going to receive the full Artful Foundations release, which has a value of, I think, about $370. So yeah, that would be a good start to the year, I think. Okay, so for the products that I am sharing today, so I'm going to focus on the refined grid. So this is a cover plate die, really cool one. You can see it cuts out the inside pieces here, but it doesn't cut the outside, so you could cut it from a larger panel as well. And then there is the refined grid builder stencil set that you can use. So it's a 6-piece stencil set. I'm going to show you those in much more detail in a second, but just to show you the mock-up, you can use those stencils to then add some designs to your die cut. So I already went ahead and die cut my refined grid die from an A2 panel. So I already cut it down. So this is the A2 panel. And then you can use the coordinating stencils to add a design to your die cut if you want to. You can, of course, also use it differently. Or, you know, I love using my cover plate dies for dry embossing. So, of course, I also had to give that a try. So I also went ahead and just dry embossed the cover plate die directly onto a card front. And I'm just going to keep this for a future card. Dry embossing cover plate dies is one of my favorite things to do with them. And then the stencil set, so there's actually kind of like 3 pairs of different stencils that you can use as the, you know, in those pairs, or you can combine them and mix and match. So you have 2 that color in these sort of squares here. Then you have 2 with hearts, also to fit perfectly onto these squares, or you could use just one or both of them, or you can combine them, for example, and do the squares on one and the hearts on the other parts here. And then there's 2 more stencils with this kind of abstract design. And I think yesterday we posted a card to our Instagram by Andrea using the refined grid die with those abstract designs, and her card is absolutely beautiful. So if you haven't seen it yet, make sure that you check that out. Okay. Oh, and I also forgot, if you have a question, it would be really helpful if you could put the word question in all caps at the beginning of your message, and that way I can easily see it when I'm glancing over at my computer. Okay, and then since, you know, this doesn't have any sentiments, I also grabbed the Heartfelt Chapters stamp set. So it's a sentiment only stamp set with coordinating dies. So you have 12 sentiments and 12 dies. So there's 1 for each. And this one, so I'm going to give you another little sneak peek. This one, as you can see here, is designed to coordinate perfectly with another product suite that is part of this new release called Floral Tales. So all of these sentiments were designed to fit perfectly onto this little book here. This is a really fun one. And I think you're going to see lots and lots of project samples with this one as well. And I believe we already shared a card to our Instagram using the Floral Tale product suite. So you can also check that out. Okay, so, but of course, I mean, it was designed to work with the Floral Tale product suite, but as you can see, as I'm doing today, you can easily use these sentiments with whatever other product suite you like. They are not so themey or, you know, specific that you couldn't use them in a different way. Okay, so I'm going to get started, and I want to show you, I'm also going to show you some more project samples with the refined grid at the end of this session. But I'm going to show you how you can combine the different stencils on your die cut. So since I already cut my panel down, I'm just going to adhere it to my surface here. And then I'm using the first stencil here with the squares, or they're actually more sort of rectangles. They're not perfect squares. And then you can use, hold on. Pick it up. There. Here. So here you should be able to see there it says stencil 1, and it also has these registration marks in the corners, and it does that in all 4 corners. And these are sized, or these are in a place so that you can perfectly align this on an A2 panel. So if you look at those registration marks and the corners of your A2 panel, if those line up, then you have your stencil lined up perfectly as well. Someone said I don't have Instagram, so I haven't seen sneak peeks. So if you have Facebook, then you should also be able to see those sneak peeks there, because we post, you know, the same, or the projects there as well. Okay. Oh, and I also want to say, I don't have dirty fingernails. I just want to get that out of the way. I don't have a dirty fingernail. I just, about half an hour before going live, I just sliced into my nail and my thumb with a potato peeler. So yeah, that's that. Now, for today's color scheme, I thought, so you have an idea. We will see how that works out. So I was thinking of using 6 different kind of pastel-ish colors with the rectangles, 1 for each line. So you have 6 lines. So I was thinking of doing ballet slipper in the first, soft lilac next, and so on. So not really dividing those colors up by stencil layer, but rather, you know, as sort of this design. And then when I'm done with that, I thought I would use the darkest color in the same color family. So ballet slipper is the lightest one in the, I think, fairy dust family. And then raspberry bliss is the darkest. Same with soft lilac and regal kiss. And I thought I would use these to then add some hearts on top. And I might actually do a little bit of glitter paste today. We will see if I'm patient enough or not. Because I usually avoid using any sort of paste that has to dry during my YouTube lives, because I'm usually too impatient and I'm always afraid that I'm going to mess up my panel. And of course you could just do a rainbow. I think that would be kind of the most obvious thing to do. So you could do yellow, orange, pink, and so on. But I thought I would do more, I don't know, I felt in the mood for this kind of unicorn sort of color scheme, I don't know, or mermaid maybe. The metal base and magnet strips I'm using, they're actually from the We Are Memory Keepers foil quill. So that was a product from, I don't know, years ago that they released for electronic die cutting machines. So I'm just, you know, I'm using these, or this mat and the magnets not in their intended form, but it works. So I'm just going to use a 1/2-inch blending, or sorry, 1-inch blending brush, and just going to go ahead and ink blend the first line. And since everything is so, you know, nice and straight, it's fairly easy to mask. You don't even need to use masking tape. You could also just use 2 sheets of copy paper and you'd be fine. So ballet slipper. Then I'm gonna do soft lilac. And remember, I'm going to use the same colors for the second stencil as well, or at least that's what I'm thinking right now. We will see if I change my mind by then. So I can just move down. And you could definitely use 1 single color on that first stencil layer. You don't have to make your life more difficult than it needs to be. So you don't have to spend so much time on masking and ink blending if you don't want to. But I don't know, that idea sort of popped into my head, so I thought I wanted to try it. Hold on. Because the sheer freesia and the soft lilac they're not the same. They're definitely different shades, but I want to make sure that it's obvious. Next we have, great. The masking tape is not doing its job really well. Hold on. So I'm just going to do it like this. Actually quicker. Next one is Ocean Breeze. And so right now, I haven't listed the supplies for today in the video description because first of all, the products or most of the products I'm using today haven't been released yet. And I didn't know what ink colors I would be using, but I will update the video description as soon as the full release is live and available so that you can then find the clickable links there and the full supply list. So next I have Waterfall. Again, I'm just doing a really quick blend. I don't actually want it to be 100% even, so I'm fine with some of those openings or rectangles being a little bit darker than others. And finally, I have Slumber. So that was, oops, careful, almost pushed all of my ink pads off the table. So that was the first stencil layer. Oh, and one thing that I wanted to mention, with most of our product suites, I would say that ink blending first and then doing the die cutting is the easiest way to do it. But with this one, it's actually easier to first die cut and then do the ink blending, because then you can make sure that your stencils line up perfectly with those little squares. But otherwise, usually I would do my ink blending first and then my die cutting. Okay. So let me just see if I really want to do the same colors. Okay, I think I'm going to do the same colors, but I will ink blend them a little bit heavier so that I do have a bit of a darker shade. I don't want to go one color darker, but rather just have a little bit darker color. So I just need to make sure that I use the colors in the correct order. Okay, so ballet slipper at the top, doing a heavier blend than before. And this, so I think this design, like this product suite, the stencils and the die, they are so versatile. You can use these for any occasion. You can use them as kind of the sort of standout piece on your card, but you could also definitely also use it more as a neutral or kind of, toned down background. That's totally up to you. You could make it the star of the show. You could just do a little bit to your background. Or, and I'm going to show you that at the end, you can also use the stencils, for example, on their own without using the die and without lining them up perfectly. And I'm going to show you an example for that as well. So next I did Sheer Freesia. And now that I'm doing the heavier ink blending, you can see the difference between a Sheer Freesia and a Soft Lilac. You can see Soft Lilac is much more pinkish purple, and Sheer Freesia is a cooler bluish purple. Okay, next, what did I do? I think I did Ocean Breeze was the next one. And you could, someone said perhaps even a checkerboard design, crafty energy. Definitely. So checkerboard, also a great idea. Or you could do completely monochromatic design with, you know, just one color or color family, and do just pinks, for example, or just blues with, you know, just different kind of intensities. You could even play around and use one or only two ink pads for the whole thing, and just by varying the pressure and varying the you know, application, get different results. I think that could also be a fun thing. And that's it for the first two stencils with my 6 ink pads. And I like that. I really like the colors, and I like that there's just a tiny bit of difference between those colors. It's not huge, like it, because I mean I still used exactly the same ink pad, but I do like that there's a bit of a difference. Question: are these new colors? No, these are still our, you know, our original colors. It's going to take a few more months before we have our new ink pads. So everything you see here and everything you will see for the next few months will still be with our regular ones. So let's see. So I thought, so for the hearts, I don't want to do hearts on all of the squares. So I'm only going to do either on the lightest or on the darker ones. I think I'm going to do, hold on, I need to tape that down a little bit more. Question: is there a link to the brushes? No, I haven't added any product links yet, but you can find the brushes in our shop if you just look for blending brushes. Or maybe Kinnary can post a link in the chat. I don't know. But I will, as I said, I will add all of the products I'm using today in the video description. Okay. I'm just checking if I missed any questions or any comments. So let's decide. Do I do the darker ones or the lighter ones? I'm going to do the darker ones. I think either would, you know, would look fine. I think that's just a case of, you know, overthinking. So if I wasn't live right now and had all of the time in the world, I would probably hem and haw a long time before finally deciding which stencil to use with the darkest colors. So sometimes it helps being a little bit under pressure. All right, so I'm going to do, as I said, the same color families, and instead of the lightest color, I'm going to do the darkest color in each family. And this one is stencil 2 for the hearts. So I'm using stencil 2 of the hearts for stencil 2 of the squares or rectangles. Okay, first one. This time I'm going to clean my stencil a little bit in between, because with those dark inks I don't want to have any transfer between them. Now next one is Regal Kiss. That's the darkest one in that color family. And you could definitely, I just saw someone saying something like, hold on, let me just see if I can find it. I remember a past holiday class having die cuts or stencil with holiday icons in this scale. I'm sure it will be useful beyond the set's parameters. Yes, so that's also a great idea to use the this design as a background and put other small die cuts on top that from a different, you know, product suite or stamp set. So hold on. This time I have to be a little bit more careful, which is not my strongest quality. Okay. Trying my best to, you know, not smudge my ink all over the place. You could also use a 1/2-inch blending brush for those. Instead of, you know, doing so much masking, you could also do 1/2-inch blending brush and just be a little bit careful. Now, next one is Tidal Pond. And when I'm done with that stencil, I have to put away some of those ink pads because they are all perilously close to the edges of my desk. So that is Tidal Pond. That is a beautiful color. It's kind of a real, I don't know, real mermaidy sort of turquoise. And next one, hold on, is, where did I put it? There. I think I mixed it up, to be honest. Yeah. I think I should have, used Atlantis just now. But fortunately, Atlantis is a little bit darker than Tidal Pond. So I'm just going to go over the Atlantis, over the Tidal Pond with Atlantis. So it's not going to be the true color. But it's fine. Because Atlantis is a little bit more blue versus this kind of green turquoise. And you know, for these two colors, it probably wouldn't be a big deal. It's not like I mixed up purple and turquoise. That would be a bigger issue. So this time I'm using Tidal Pond. And then for the last one, told you, I'm not so good with being careful. Last one is going to be Stargazer. And my ink stands from the inkstand, thank you, Brienne, are coming in real handy for this because I don't have to worry about my ink pad sliding all over the place when I'm already, you know, holding down my makeshift mask and everything. Okay, so that was Stargazer. And as I said, this was, you know, this was pretty quick. You definitely don't need to spend so much time on it. You could just use 1 or 2 colors for each stencil layer and you'd be done much more quickly. But I had this idea, I wanted to try it. So let's see. Again, I'm just cleaning up a little bit before I get ink all over the place here. So, final reveal. Oh, that looks nice. I like it. So yeah, I do like that. And I am glad I did the hearts on the darker ones. Okay, quickly cleaning that stencils. I like using our stamp cleaner for that. Because, I mean, you can see how dark these colors are. And instead of running this under some running water, I can just wipe that off. And by the way, the ink sticking here, that's just because I used the stencil with some glitter paste earlier. So that ink is actually sticking to the glitter paste that I obviously did not clean very well. Oh well, it's fine. I can clean it a little bit better later. Okay. So as I said, I was thinking of doing some glitter paste over those hearts maybe. I'm not sure. Let me just check for comments or questions real quick. And take a sip of my coffee. Okay, I think I'm good. So you know what? Let's do it. I mean, I already smudged my stencil with some glitter paste earlier, so why not do it again? So I'm going to do glitter paste over the dark hearts. You could also do glitter hearts on the lighter ones and just do glitter without ink, so they are a little bit, you know, lighter and toned down. But I do want these squares to stay like not white, but you know, without any pattern. Okay, so not ideal because with glitter paste you really should clean your stencils pretty much right after, otherwise that glitter paste dries on your stencil and it's a pain to get off. But we will see. Question. Oh yeah, I do have minus. It's snowing here, or well, it snowed a little bit, but it's really cold. Or, you know, really cold also is relative. Hold on. Okay. And my hair is driving me crazy. Sorry if I'm, you know, fiddling with my hair a lot. I have to find... Okay. So I'm just using some, what is it? Moonstone glitter paste. So it's a bit white, but more translucent, and it does have some glitter. So it will show the color underneath the glitter as well. So that's what I'm going for, because I do want to see those colored hearts. And I'm going from top to bottom here because sometimes that paste can kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Like lift up some of the ink color underneath. So I don't want that. I don't want to smear any, you know, bluish glitter paste onto my pink hearts. Trying to get off the excess as much as I can, because as I said, I can't go to my sink right now to wash that stencil. That will have to wait. Trying not to smudge it, smear it. So yeah. Oh, okay. Whew. Hold on. Let me first clean my stencil a little bit and my spatula, whatever it's called. Before I go on. Beth, I agree. That stencil set and also the die and everything would be great for scrapbooking. I was already thinking of how can I use this on a layout or in a mini album, for example. And since the die doesn't have an outer cut line, so you can die cut into a larger panel, I was thinking of maybe, or thinking that it would also look really cool on like a mini album cover. So yeah, we will see. Again, this is not ideal. This is really, you know, I'm just trying to get off as much of that glitter paste as I can right now. Ideally, you should run that under, or you should wash that with running water. One of the reasons why I don't like doing that on a live. Okay. Okay, so let's see. So this is what we have now. Once it dries, it does get a little bit more transparent or translucent, and you will see a little bit more of that color, but I do like that added sparkle, especially since for my card today, I was thinking of, or I was planning on creating this as my kind of star of the show. So I'm not planning on having this as kind of a background muted thing. Hold on, Kinnery just said something of she can't keep a secret, and I know she always does that when she moderates, so I have to check what secret she spilled. Hold on. Oh, that secret she spilled. Okay. I wasn't sure when I can tell you, but since Kinnery already said it, because a lot of people were asking for my mat or my magnets and stuff, and Kinnery said we have our own version of the mat coming soon. So since she told you, you know, I can now tell you too. And I'm really excited about this because, as I said, this is kind of a makeshift thing. It works, but there's definitely room for improvement. The glitter paste, no, sorry, if I wasn't clear on that. The glitter paste is the Nouveau Glimmer Moonstone glitter paste. That wasn't a product from us that I was trying to, you know, sneak or slide in. So yeah, Kinnery's secret, or the secret that she spilled, was that we do have our own mat coming soon-ish. Okay, so let me just put the stencils away. I'm going to put that aside to let it dry. Now, and I knew that, you know, when I saw Kinnery was moderating, I just thought to myself, okay, let's see what kind of crazy thing or secret she reveals today, because she always does. Okay, so I'm going to put this aside. Now, since we do have a bit of time today, so I have more than 20 minutes left, and I already prepared a sentiment, or rather I did two. So I heat embossed two of the sentiments from this set in white on white, and I already die cut some blank layers for stacking. So I'm, you know, that will take only a few, 2 minutes or so. So I thought I would also show you or try the stencils. Where did I put it? Here. I showed you in the beginning how I already used that refined grid die for dry embossing directly to a card front. Now, keep in mind, this card base here is not the same cardstock that I usually use for ink blending. So it's not ideal. You will definitely get a smoother blend on like hammer mill, for example, what I was using earlier. But since I already, did this and I have a few minutes today, I thought we could just have a look at the other stencils real quick. And maybe with a different color scheme. So I'm going to do the squares again first, or rectangles or whatever. And I'm going to ink blend directly onto that card base, onto that dry embossed surface. Question: since the beans have been spilled, will the mat be magnetic or sticky? I'm going to wait for Kinnery. I don't want to spill too many secrets or say anything that she doesn't want to share yet. So whenever she says something, I'm going to repeat it, but So let's see. Let's take a look what colors we could use with this one. Did she say something? Hold on. Okay, so what did I want to do? So this time I'm just going to do a rather quick blend here, and this time I'm not going to do like row or like each row in a different color. That I don't want to spend, you know, that much time again, and you have seen how that works. So instead I'm just going to do, for example, here I'm using, cherry blossom, and I'm just going to do like a gradient. So I'm going to do cherry blossom and then peach fuzz, kind of on a diagonal a little bit. So I'm going to let them overlap. And then lemon whip. Now this right here looks a little bit darker because I often use my large blending brushes for all of the colors in a color family. So I also use that with the darker yellows. And usually I'm fine with the color being, you know, not perfectly true to what it actually is, if that makes sense. Now, one other thing you could do, hold on. So you can see here, you could also skip a stencil. You could leave, you know, those completely white. You don't have to do the same here. Or you could combine this now with the hearts for the other rectangles, so that you have hearts and rectangles mixed together. Just trying to line it up without putting my head all, you know, in front of the camera. And here you could do the same thing, kind of. So this time I'm not going to do the darkest color in each family, but more like the second or third. So for the area that I use cherry blossom on, I'm going to do peony. This is, by the way, I haven't planned this. So this is just kind of on, you know, on the fly, on the go, whatever. Because we do have a little bit of time, and I definitely want to show you how versatile this product suite is. And, you know, since we originally planned to have to go live together, where you would see two people using the same product suite and get lots of different ideas, and now it's just me, I thought I would try and give you as much inspiration as I can. So I'm trying to have, you know, a similar blend. So the red going towards yellow. So I used, I think, the lightest and second one in the other color families here. Here I'm using sweet mustard, which is actually the third one. But I love sweet mustard a lot. So. And yes, if you are enjoying this video, of course, we would really appreciate a thumbs up. Now, someone said I always have trouble matching colors, or, you know, coming up with colors. One thing to do that usually doesn't fail is stick to one color family, or use ones that are close to each other. So yellow, orange, red, for example, or pink, purple, or red, pink, purple, something like this. And then just try a handful, or have a look at a card that you really like from someone from the design team, or from someone else, from, you know, whoever, and, you know, just copy their colors. There's no police that says you can't do that. Okay, now keep in mind, as I said, this cardstock is not ideal for ink blending. And also I couldn't put my head like completely in front of the, or, you know, above the card base. So I wasn't able to line up my stencils perfectly. That's my fault, not the stencil's fault. But you can see here that you can get a really fun, different effect combining the stencils like this. And if you wanted to, you can also do the abstract designs, although with these, you have an opening for each of those rectangles. So if you only wanted to add some design to, let's say, those colored squares, then you would need to do a little bit of masking or just use like a 1/4 inch blending brush and be a little bit more careful, a little bit more precise. Or you could just move the stencil around. So let's say you want this one. It's a bit of an orangey color, so I just picked Clementine. And then you could just go ahead and ink blend that right on top. And just add a little bit of fun to some of those. Again, this cardstock, not ideal for ink blending. The colors don't smoothen out that nicely, but I definitely wanted to show you. Hold on. I feel like I missed a question. If I did, then yeah, there. What's the name of our Facebook group? It's just Pinkfresh Studio Fan Group, I think. Yeah, I think if you look for Pinkfresh Studio Fan Group or Fan, then you should be able to find it. And you could even use, you could do the same thing with this stencil, for example, and just add a little bit of glitter paste if you wanted to, you know, just go crazy. I'm not going to do this now with all of these, but just to give you an idea. And then you could even cut up that design if you want. You know, you could, or like the die, you could cut out the inside piece for a smaller panel, and then you would be left with kind of a frame. Lots of different options. Question, what is that cardstock? So the one that I used here is, I don't know, like some white cardstock I had from my scrapbooking, like that I used for scrapbooking. So it's just some white cardstock. But the one I recommend for doing ink blending that works really nicely, that I use for this one, is the Hammermill cardstock, for example. Okay, so now that paste should be nice and dry, so I can finish my card. Now let me see if I actually prepared a card base or not. Didn't. So I have to quickly do that. Hold on. It wouldn't be me if I, you know, wasn't looking for something that I just had earlier that's now vanished. Hold on. I'm going to leave that here so you can ooh and ah a little bit about it. Okay, I'm really sorry about that, but I had to grab some white cardstock for my card base because share all stencils at the end of this live, please. What do you mean? Like, how? Let me know. Someone was asking where in Europe I'm buying my Hammermill cardstock. Well, that is a bit of an issue. It's not really easily available. I think you can get it from Amazon, but then it's also sent from the US, so it's not that cheap. I was actually lucky enough that Jody when she came to Germany last year, she carried a full ream, like a full pack of chamomile cardstock in her luggage for me. But yes, you can get it sent from the US, you know, when ordering through Amazon. But it's not cheap. But then again, you know, one pack will last you. Oh yeah, sure. I will show all of the stencils again in a second. One of those packs will last you a long, long time, especially if you do what I'm doing, and that's why I had to get up. Whenever I only need, for example, a card base, like here, and I'm not doing any ink blending on it, so it's really just the base. I'm not using my precious chamomile cardstock, so that's why I'm using my white cardstock that I got from God knows where. Because here I'm just, you know, kind of, I just want the correct weight, but I don't need it to be good for ink blending or hot foiling. So this is where I'm using my regular white cardstock, and my chamomile I'm really saving for just doing ink blending and like hot foiling. So even for, let's say I'm like die cutting shadow layers or blank layers to stack, for that I use my white cardstock scraps. I don't use my precious chamomile. Sue, exactly. Find someone who is visiting the US for a vacation. Absolutely. If you know someone who travels to the US, you know, ask them to bring a pack of chamomile for you. Okay. Now, the only thing I'm trying to think is if I do want to maybe cut down this sort of frame here, because I do want that popped up, because it is going to be the star of my card. I'm not adding anything else to this card apart from a sentiment. And by the way, I also had these left from a different project. These are just, I think, the shaker hearts, I think they're called. And they match perfectly with this stencil sets, for example. So you could use these or one of them and stamp your sentiment onto this and just use it on top. Also a fun design. Okay. Now I am going to trim that down. I might regret it. We will see. And I will show you in a second why I did that. No turning back now. Okay. Now the reason I trimmed off the kind of frame around this is that I do want to pop this up on some foam adhesive, and this was too thin to put foam adhesive behind it. But if I don't, the edges will get kind of squished down and it won't look nice and even. So that's why I did that. So I'm just quickly going to put some foam adhesive on the back. And I do have a few more minutes, so I'm good on time. And I'm quickly going to show you all of the stencils in this set. So you have 6 stencils in total in the Refined Grid Builder stencil set. You have 2 with the rectangles, so they fill a different one, and you can use them together to create this kind of checkerboard or whatever design, or just use one of them. Then you have the same idea with hearts. So there's a second one for hearts on my floor with glitter paste that I need to scrape off. So these can be combined, or you can combine, you know, the stars with the, oh sorry, the hearts with the rectangles. And then you have 2 more with this abstract design. And with this one, we posted a card yesterday made by Andrea. It's a gorgeous card, so definitely check that out. Because I feel like, you know, the hearts and the rectangles, they are kind of obvious, and I think everyone has kind of an idea of what that's going to look like on a finished card. But sometimes with those more abstract ones, it's a bit more difficult to imagine what that would look like. And I feel like there are some people who are especially great at using those types of products, and Andrea is definitely one of them. So I knew that she was going to create something gorgeous with it, and she did. I'm trying to do this as quickly as I can because I don't want to bore you. But at the same time, since we have those openings between all of those spots, I can't put, you know, one strip of foam tape behind it. No, those aren't available yet. So this is a sneak peek of our upcoming release, the Artful Foundations release. But it will be available this Thursday, January 8th at 9 a.m. CT. So only 2 more sleeps. And then you can get your hands on these products that I showed you today and quite a few more. Really, really beautiful ones. And the reason that we named this release Artful Foundations is because it contains a lot of products that are great as kind of foundational pieces that you can use to combine with whatever you have in your stash, but all of them also look really great on their own. So that was the idea behind this release. Almost done. Sorry for all the foam, but since I already spent that much time on the ink blending, you know, I don't want to waste that effort and rush the last part. Question: will the whole release be viewable before Thursday? So not the products themselves. We don't do like pre-order or preview things like that, but we do have the sneak peeks where you can see projects using those new products before it goes live. So on our social media, on our Instagram, we already shared projects, and we will share them until tomorrow. And of course, all of our designers also share some sneak peeks on their social media. Okay, last one, and then we did it. Phew. Okay. Okay. So now I only have to adhere that down as straight and centered as I can. Hold on, one thought. One thought. Also really nice. So if you want, ooh, now that's nice. There's a thought. And by the way, so this is Glacier glitter cardstock. And it, I believe it just got restocked. So if you were wanting to get your hands on some Glacier glitter cardstock, which is probably my most used glitter cardstock, then definitely grab some. Okay. Now I didn't want it around the outside because that would have been overkill a little bit. And now since I already have all of those foam pieces on here, and foam doesn't like to stick to glitter cardstock really well, I'm just adding a drop of our Precision Clear Craft glue to them, adhering this to my glitter cardstock because I still have that dimension. You can still see the dimension, that shadow. Hold on. Did Carrie already announce the winner and I missed it? Oh, she did. Sorry. Bruce Gordon 405, you are the winner of the full Artful Foundations release. Congratulations. All you have to do is email customerservice@pinkfreshstudio.com to claim that prize. And then you can start playing with it. Okay. I'm using some liquid adhesive here as well, so I can move that around until it's nice and centered. But I think I did a pretty okay job here. Now see, first I said I have a lot of time today. I don't have to rush, and now I do have to kind of rush. Oh well. Okay, so I have sending a smile your way and hope your day is lovely. Both are great, I think. But of course you can't read them yet, so I do have to do a little bit of ink blending on top. And I need to find the correct ink pads because they are all over the place behind me. I think, okay, so Kinnery's already leaving. Thank you for moderating, Kinnery. But if you want to stay to see the finished card, I promise I will be done in a minute or two. Now my plan is to put that sentiment, you know, here so that I don't cover up that heart. So what I'm doing is I'm adding some ink blending in the same, trying to do a little bit of kind of tone on tone here. For those of you who already have to leave too, sorry I'm, you know, taking a little bit longer. Before you leave, I would definitely appreciate a thumbs up, as I said. I always forget reminding people at the end. So today I just want to make sure that I mention it. And a little bit of ocean breeze. And then I can see if I like it or not. And if not, I have that other sentiment that I could use instead. Sending a smile your way. I don't like the duotone thing. So let's do have a lovely day. Hope your day is lovely. Sorry about that. Good thing I had 2 sentiments prepared. I can still use that other sentiment on a different card. It's just not really what I thought it would look like on this. And I already die cut 2 blank layers. So I'm just going to do some ocean breeze on one and a bit of slumber on the other. Like so. And then I can stack them up like this with the shadow layers. Okay, so I'm adding, when you do shadow layers, make sure that you add your adhesive to the sentiment that goes on top so that you don't have any adhesive showing. And then again, because I'm adding one more layer behind this, I'm adding adhesive behind those 2 stacked up ones. And then stacking this up. And you could actually do this That would also be really fun, but I don't have time for that. Maybe I should have done that in those minutes that I had. You could actually die cut 6 layers, for example, and do all of the 6 colors that we used here in those shadow layers. That would also be a really fun look, I think. And of course, one last bit of foam adhesive. You could definitely adhere this directly to your card base now, but I do love my foam adhesive and my dimension. And you could add some jewels, but I feel like with the glitter paper and with the glitter paste, we're already good on glitter. So this is what it looks like. And I hope you enjoyed this. I hope I could give you some ideas for this for this product suite. And let me flip my camera real quick. There. Yeah, so thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you had a great time. And if you did, I would love a thumbs up. And if you're not already following us, make sure that you do. Tomorrow, we are going to share one final sneak peek on our Instagram before the full release goes live on Thursday. And as always with our releases, we have a blog hop on release day. And then next day, we have an Instagram hop with tons and tons of inspiration and, of course, lots of prizes. So make sure that you don't miss out on that. And thank you for joining me today. I completely forgot to say Happy New Year to everyone. I hope you had a great start to your new year. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you again soon. Bye, everyone. Oh, one thing. I completely forgot. I want to show you the card samples. I'm so sorry. Okay, so these are the card samples we have so far from our design team using this refined grid set. So you have in the bottom right, you have the one that I was talking about by Andrea with the abstract design. On the bottom left, you have another one by Andrea where she used the hearts, without the grid. So just to create this really fun background. And then at the top, you have 2 where the hearts were used for this duo tone thing. So really fun ideas, and we will share lots more in the weeks to come. Thank you, everyone. And now I really say goodbye.